obligations. So is the insularity of the academy a serious problem?
Absolutely. The insularity of the academy is a serious problem, and this is something that the American Council of Trustees and Alumni has noted, but we are not alone. Larry Summers, when he was president of Harvard, talked often about the chasm between the academy and the American people. And in recent books by Derek Bach, currently the president of Harvard, Harry Lewis, former dean at Harvard, they both distinctly point out that higher education serves the public and that it receives special benefits, tax exemptions, subsidies, because there is a public compact, if you will, that for these special benefits we expect our colleges and universities to do their job of imparting our history and heritage, imparting knowledge about general areas that are important for citizens. And in fact, in order to obtain these public benefits, they have to uphold their end of the bargain, and that they have failed to do so in terms of curricular coherence, in terms of promoting a robust exchange of ideas and an open atmosphere in the classroom. So clearly there is a problem, and I think that's where the American Council of Trustees and Alumni comes to bear, bringing informed perspective from those who love the institutions, alumni and trustees, who are concerned that if higher education does not live up to its obligation, that it will lose the special benefits that it has so greatly earned in the past.
So it seems it comes down to is that there's a contract between taxpayers, politicians looking out for their taxpayers and citizens, as well as groups such as ACTA that have a vested interest, anywhere from social interest to a business interest as well too. I mean, alumni is part of, or potential donors, that is part of an investment into a system that they believe is going to fulfill the obligations that the university claims. So does it come down to, if the university does not, or university administrators do not follow through on their responsibility to monitor its departments to make sure that they are doing what is promised to taxpayers, to donors, then is it acceptable for groups like yourself or even politicians to say, well, now because you're not following through on this, we demand, or we insist on, giving us an assessment of what you're doing, or that things have got to change and you can't just simply be autonomous as long as you're getting public funding?
Absolutely. Academic freedom does not mean freedom from criticism or freedom from accountability. And I think too often colleges and universities seem to think that they are invulnerable to criticism or a review from the outside. And in fact, when there are clear examples of colleges and universities which no longer have a coherent curriculum, which have classrooms which are no longer open to the free exchange of ideas, which have class descriptions which indicate a tendentiousness that is far removed from the open exploration of the truth that we have long associated with colleges and universities, that it's time then for these constituencies to raise questions and concerns, because the special benefits that we give to colleges and universities are premised on their performing their end of the bargain, that is, doing their job and teaching our next generation so they can be informed citizens, effective workers, and lifelong learners. When in fact that's not happening, and that there's substantial data showing that that's not happening, it's time for us to raise our voice. And if the academy cannot sustain public confidence, then regrettably it will find legislators who are interested in intervening and others who are potentially interested in taking away those special liberties. That's why it's so important for the academy internally to address these concerns and criticisms, and to do so in a way that reassures those of us who believe deeply in higher ed and want to make certain that it remains the best in the world.
And the last question of my last question set is, what do you, as president of ACTA, see for the future of post-secondary university public education? Do you think, the way things are going now, that things are going to get better along the lines of what ACTA is promoting, or that they're going to have to reach a point where there is more outside discontent, whether it's from the public, the mainstream media, politicians. Where do you see the way things are going now? That in all likelihood, that ACTA is going to have to serve a certain role. Is that going to be a role more of cooperation, or if it's going to have to be more a role of we need to bring more scrutiny to what's going on? In other words, what is the direction you see of universities that will lead in the next year or two?
I think thanks to professors like Ward Churchill, who have provided real public awareness of the kinds of politicized commentary that often finds its way into the classroom, that we are at a marvelous point in terms of addressing some of the challenges in higher ed. I think the public is increasingly aware that students can graduate without exposure to general areas of knowledge. I think the public is increasingly aware that often political agendas are brought into the classroom rather than imparting knowledge. And I think as public awareness grows, pressure will also on the university to respond and to ensure that it's doing its job. When we have folks like Derek Bach, president of Harvard, Harry Lewis, former dean of Harvard, saying that it's time for alumni and trustees to speak up, saying that it's time for institutions to create a better and more cohesive curriculum. When we have insiders who are acknowledging that there are problems and that colleges and universities must address them, this is all very good and positive news, and this is what ACTA will continue to do: build on public awareness, concerns about quality, concerns about the open exchange of ideas, so that the institutions themselves internally will act to address these concerns.
Well, you heard it first. President Neal of ACTA thanking Ward Churchill on camera. Thank you very much for this interview.
Thank you.
That's